Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jennie Montgomery. Welcome to another half hour of information to help you make the most of your time, to make informed decisions, and to keep up with goings-on around Greater Augusta. And today we're talking to a couple of young people who are doing amazing things. Clayton Otting is getting ready for a big launch of his Mesca sweetener products, including still and bubbly beverages. And Savannah Turner is a teacher in the upstate who is the founder and director of a school in Zambia. We'll meet her shortly. But first, an old friend of the WJBF News Channel 6 family. Bob Young was well known in this community as a broadcast journalist when he resigned from WJBF News Channel 6 in 1998 to run for mayor of Augusta. He won that election, and Bob's resume goes on to include senior executive in a presidential administration, conservationist, Vietnam War veteran, movie actor, and a whole lot more. But he says the title he enjoys most is author. And it is such a pleasure to have Bob with us today. Bob, who is the author of Niche, The Hand of the Wicked, and The Treasure Train, three of the books. And Bob, I want to talk to you about your books and your movies and so many things. And I forgot this one, The Grab All Road.
Grab All Road is the one we've had the most fun with. Thanks for having me on, Jenny, and
Sure.
Merry Christmas to you.
Well, thank you. You too.
Last fall, the History Channel came to Lincoln County in search of lost Confederate gold and hired me as their local historian, and I've got a nice plug for the Treasure Train in that. But the producers had the story so convoluted, I thought it was time that we took the legend and the myth and separated it from the fact. And so I wrote a fact-based book. This is a pure history book, Grab All Road, on the robbery of the wagon train in Lincoln County. It's quite a legend and quite a remarkable part of local history. And then I was, at the time I read this, I was working on Niche.
Yeah.
And Niche is the nickname for Reverend Abraham Dionysius Chenault of Lincoln County.
Say that name again.
Abraham Dionysius Chenault.
Wow.
Not to be confused with the Greek god of wine, Dionysius. Okay. So anyway, he was the chief suspect in the robbery. He had nothing to do with it, but his family was taken out and tortured as the Union soldiers were hunting for the proceeds from the robbery. 2 years ago, I put out The Hand of the Wicked. This is based on a murder case in Tolliver County in 1865, the murder of a former slave by two white men, and it's a remarkable look at justice during Reconstruction, or the lack of justice, and as President Trump talks about, a swamp. How justice was in itself a swamp at that lawless time in the South, and what should have happened to the two men, what didn't happen to the two men who killed her, and what ultimately happened to those two suspects.
Wow. You know, Bob, you love this, don't you, the research involved?
Well, I really like it, Jenny, because that's what I enjoyed doing when I was a newsman, when I was a journalist. I love the search for facts, for asking questions and learning more. And so that thirst for information led me back into the history books, and all my books are based on local history. For example, in The Treasure Train, you actually go back and relive the last slave auction that was held in Augusta. That's the type of research that I do and put in my books, and it makes them, hopefully it makes them more endeared to local people because they're learning more about local history.
Well, they are, and that is also why you are a very engaging speaker. You do a lot of public speaking, and your book signings, you've just had some book signings, and you have, what is April, your next one that's coming up?
Let's see, gosh, well, you've caught me off guard, Jenny.
Well, I looked at your schedule, Bob, and April is when you're kicking back up. So you're taking your long winter's nap, and then you'll be kicking things back up again in April. But you know, besides the books, Bob, we have to talk about some of the other things that you've done. You worked for the Bush administration.
Yes, I was Assistant Deputy Secretary in the Bush administration. I was responsible for all the field offices in HUD around the country, and I joined the administration at a particularly interesting time because I was sworn in, and 2 months later Hurricane Katrina hit the Southeast, and at that time I was Southeast Regional Director, so it was all dumped on me, and I was responsible for HUD's field response in Mississippi and Alabama, and that was really quite an engaging time for me, and having had the experience of being a mayor, a leader in local government,
Yep.
I really understood the needs of our customers at that time and was able to help redirect some resources to them and hopefully speed along their recovery.
It's just been fascinating to the career that you've had,
Yeah.
you know, and all the different things that you've
I
done.
can't keep a job.
Because, you know, when we anchored the news together back in the late 90s when I started at News Channel 6, and Bob was, my children were tiny at the time, and I can still remember little Zach with his white blonde hair, about 4 years old, 3, 4, he'd come and he'd get by me and he'd go, Bob's desk, okay, right across from mine in the newsroom, and Bob would go, Mommy, that's Bob Young. Mommy, that's Bob Young. Bob at once gave Zach a little Batman toy or something, you know, when he was in the newsroom, and Zach was just like, it was from Bob Young.
Oh my gosh.
It was so exciting, so exciting. But you know, you had been radio man who became TV news anchor, and then just to go on and do so many wonderful things that you've done. You've also had a great little movie career, and you've appeared in some of the Tyler Perry things.
Yes, House of Pain and Meet the Browns. And I got involved in this when I came back from Washington. In 2009, when Obama went into office, all the Republican appointees from Bush automatically left office.
Right.
And so I came back to Georgia and really didn't have anything lined up and wasn't looking to line anything up, and heard about this movie that was being filmed in Crawfordville with Robert Duvall called Get Low. And so I did some research and found the casting company and sent in my information, and they hired me to work on that show for 3 days. And so that was the first one
fun.
I've done.
And then The Blind Side.
Did The Blind Side. I was in the restaurant having a meal while the stars were at another table having their meal. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. I only do a couple a year.
Yeah.
The first couple of times it's fun, as you know, you've done one. But then after that, it gets become work. And,
Well, it's a really fun look at Bob's career and Bob's history, what he's done. If you go to his website, and it's called Bob Young Books. Very easy to find, and you can read more about Bob, and you can order. There are links to order his books. And take a look at the pictures. The photo gallery is wonderful.
And you can also, you know, if you'd like me to come speak to your book club or your civic club or whatever,
there's a contact.
There's a
the
contact
link.
page on
Right.
the website, bobyoungbooks.com. That's
Great.
where it is.
Well, Bob Young, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being
Jennie.
with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Still ahead on Jennie, an amazing story of a college student with global dreams. How she ran a school in Africa from her college campus in Anderson, South Carolina. Don't go away.